Aloha kako. Today we have a special guest, Todd Manley of Mutiny Vodka. And I mean, have you ever heard of Breadfruit Vodka? Vodka made from ulu rather than potatoes. So Chef Todd and his team, they have created this incredible, unique breadfruit spirit, and I've invited him to share a little bit about it and how they came to be. So, mahalo, Todd, for joining us today. Do you want to share a little bit about yourself and where you are?
Sure. Mahalo, Anisa. I really appreciate the opportunity and the interest in breadfruit. I am super passionate about it, like maybe even a lunatic. So I really appreciate the opportunity to speak. I'm a chef. I'm not a liquor salesman or a distiller or anything like that. And I'm located in the U.S. Virgin Islands, and but have close ties to the ohana in Hawaii as well, and particularly Chef Sam Choy, I think, is who introduced me to the ohana, and just love cooking with breadfruit. And we had a couple of hurricanes and things like that that allowed us the time to play with an idea that I had, and that was through sustainable agroforestry, creating exports for islands and solutions for islands that could actually be solutions for the global world. And breadfruit just stuck out to me as the magic, plant. And since I love to cook with it, created Mutiny Island Vodka and actually created it in one of our restaurants. And I think I was fermenting it in a 5-gallon Home Depot bucket. And then I rigged up a pressure cooker to be my still when the first spirit came out. Incidentally, the day after that, Sam Choy and I were doing a charity event together, and he kept asking me for ulu and breadfruit, and I'm like, man, the island's out. And he finally told me his love affair with ulu, because his passion was to try to end starvation using ulu. And I hadn't told anybody about making the breadfruit spirit, and I said, wow. I said, brother, you got to come to brunch with me. And I poured him a sip. I didn't tell him what it was. Being a chef, I figured he'd figure it out. And he said, "Oh my God, don't tell anybody what you've done. Nobody knows what breadfruit is, but everyone will know what vodka is. And this island vodka is going to teach everyone about breadfruit." And that was in 2017. So it's just been a whirlwind ever since.
Oh my goodness. So does breadfruit vodka taste different from like your typical vodka?
Well, it does a lot of things, and it does taste different. Island vodka is definitely different. It has an island characteristic. The first thing you'll notice is, like, if you smell it, most of the time when you smell a vodka, a traditional vodka, it smells like rubbing alcohol. The alcohol just overwhelms you. You do not smell alcohol when you smell this. So I always tell people to smell it before anything else. And it's breadfruit, but I describe it, because most people don't know what breadfruit is, or a lot of people don't. I describe it as like a green mango, as to what they're smelling, or to describe it. But it is breadfruit for sure. Just super, super, super smooth. I mean, it
Wow.
is. We recently won a gold medal at San Francisco World Spirit Competition, and it's all because of the characteristic of the breadfruit. The breadfruit gives it a little bit of a viscosity that's reminiscent of like wines, and the legs on wines and the tannins in wines. Um, it's amazing and versatile. Anything you mix with it, any traditional cocktail, even if it's a rum cocktail, it just gets better. And I like to say this: our master distiller came up with this little thing, but he says, "What grows together goes together," and that definitely is true. So,
Yeah,
so if you're in an agroforestry,
I really like that. Yeah.
and so, when it comes to, Dr. Craig Elovich had taught me a great deal about the agroforestry of breadfruit. And so when you have all these other trees that you can plant around it, and other plants, anything that's grown next to the breadfruit tree, you put your mutiny together with it, it's perfect.
Wow. I'm thinking mountain apple, also known as ohia. That's another canoe crop.
Hmm.
Maybe some citrus, tangelo. I mean, yeah, anything. I'm really looking forward to trying it and, making a couple different drinks. And from the sample that I had at the Breadfruit Summit, I do remember it having like a really mild flavor to it or taste. And it also was more like moisturizing. It
Yeah.
wasn't as dry. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. So so breadfruit vodka, like, do you make that with a hard breadfruit that's mature, or are you making it with something that's a little softer, more ripe? You said something about a fermentation process, which traditionally in like, Micronesia, they fermented ripe ulu as a way to preserve it, so it can last all year long. So yeah, what's that process like?
So it was pretty difficult to figure out how to do it in actuality, and we actually had to look at the way the human body actually processes or digests breadfruit. I mean, this is a real thing, and I'm well aware of the fermentation of the ripe in breadfruit as a way to store it and make it last. But when you're making a commercial product, and it's not industrial, but it is commercial. We're trying to get it out there. One of the key things is consistency. I mean, you can remember, maybe you can remember the kava problem when all of a sudden everyone started selling kava and there was no quality control, and then Germany banned it and all that. So breadfruit is a new crop. We really want all breadfruit products to be great, and the way to do that is to pick a state of ripeness because
Mm.
it changes so quickly with breadfruit, and then that is your recipe. So when sorry for the big long explanation. So when we use the breadfruit to make the spirit, we certainly could use it in any stage, but to get the characteristics we want, we use it when it's full and on the tree, so that the breadfruit doesn't hit the ground. It's pulled from the tree when it's full and ripe, not ripe, but full and
Mature.
heavy for the yeah for the way it looks.
Oh, wow, beautiful. So the ingredients that go inside the vodka, like what is it made out of?
Wow, hey, that's this is going to be a very long answer.
I mean, you don't have to give your
You're
secret
no,
away.
you're ready. You're ready. So we have a 250,000 gallon cistern that we collect Caribbean rainwater from, and our facility is totally solar powered as well. Um, so it's Caribbean rainwater and breadfruit. That's
Wow.
it.
I'm
Just those two ingredients.
love the simplicity of it. And I feel like with other alcohols, you don't really get the insight onto into what it actually goes into making it. So it sounds like a really clean and pure product.
So this is stuff I'm just been learning over the past few years. When people produce spirits, sometimes they're going to go back and add sugar, or let's say something was off with the distillation product
Mm.
process. They're going to do something to correct it to get their flavor profile back. With Mutiny, we distill it, and then we just keep tasting it, and when it's right, it's right. If we mess up, we start over
Wow. So no
instead of
sugar
trying to add.
added.
No.
Wow. So distillation, I mean, I'm totally unfamiliar with that process, but in a real brief, how do you distill something?
So basically, um, really, really simple. And this is the way I thought about it when I was trying to teach myself. Basically, you're making a mash or mashed potatoes, a really mushy mashed potatoes, and you heat it up, get it sterilized, and everything like that, and really break down the complex carbohydrates that are in the breadfruit.
Mm.
And then we put it in a vat, and we introduce yeast to that vat, and the yeast go crazy. They eat the breadfruit mash, and much like us, producing CO2 when we breathe, the yeast do as well. So there's two products or byproducts from the yeast having a party, growing and multiplying, and that's alcohol and carbon dioxide. So when we're fermenting, we're introducing that yeast to the breadfruit. They love breadfruit, and they party, they multiply. And then there's a trying to think of a way to say it that's not
uh exude.
exude. They're producing that alcohol, and we're left with the spent breadfruit, which they ate. The rest of the carbohydrate that's non-digestible, and then alcohol. And
So
with that, to get the alcohol out, we will the boiling point of water is 212 degrees, alcohol 174 degrees. So we'll cook that at 174 degrees. The alcohol turns into a vapor, and that's when you see the columns and things like that. That vapor goes up in there, and then we condense it back down to a liquid on the other side, and then there's your spirit.
wow, that is so cool. I haven't heard it explained like that before, so thank you.
Yeah.
Um, so you, okay, this like brings up a couple things. The spent breadfruit, do you guys do anything with that byproduct?
That's a great question. We don't waste anything at all. It's sustainability and everything that breadfruit is supposed to do for the world. We want to make sure that we honor that as well. So there is the spent breadfruit that's used, and you can do multiple things with that as well. And we're getting more creative with it. So you can feed it to goats and sheep. They love it. We can use the water that's still there to irrigate other crops on the island that need more water. So that's how we currently get rid of that, is through, helping and donating to farmers. But I have a friend, a mixologist in Puerto Rico, who came to the distillery, and he saw this stuff and got this other great idea. And this is what I love about bread when people get excited about breadfruit. He's like, man, send some of that over to me. I'm going to figure out how to extrude that into biodegradable straws.
Oh,
Um, and I'm just like, what? And I thought that was an amazing idea. And when as it goes to that, then if you can do straws out of it, you certainly could do other packaging that would need to be biodegradable. But
yeah, I
that's
bet
not my
like
piece.
yeah, like avocado spoons, different things that you can, I mean, of course, corn. So yeah, I mean, it would make sense that you could make something like a utensil out of breadfruit, maybe because of fibers and so forth. Um,
Exactly.
so the other thing that kind of came up was, you have these ingredients, right? Just breadfruit and Caribbean rainwater, and then you have that distillery or distillation process. What about the flavors that you guys have? So you have like a roots vodka with some like olena and ginger, or turmeric and ginger. And I saw a hibiscus lilikoi and a coffee. Am I missing one?
We continually experiment with these things. So we also, I mean, what no one knows about is we also made a Sam Choi's volcano roast Kona coffee, but that's not out yet. But yeah, we really like to make these infusions. They're unique flavors, ginger and turmeric together. Most sought after culinary ingredients, most sought after health ingredients, natural health ingredients as well. Very unique flavors. Yeah.
And so that's added after the distillation process.
It is. We actually it is farm to bottle. So when you have those, it is not, like a flavor or an extract or concentrate or anything like that. If you get the smoked hot pepper, for example, we go to a farmer, we buy the hot peppers, we smoke them on the grill for about an hour, which releases some of the capsaicin to tame the heat down, but give it the smokiness.
Mm.
And then we infuse it with the original product. When I say infuse, think of it as making a tea, basically. We're making a tea, but instead of water, we're using vodka, our island vodka, Mutiny Island Vodka, and the other farm products.
Wow, so it sounds like you get some health benefits from it, and perhaps there's not like a real hangover or um Yeah, maybe some like those
Yeah,
that headache or stomach ache that you get from other types of, typical vodkas or spirits.
yeah, it was. I don't know if there's health benefits or that I could even say that there's health benefits. I have suspicions that there probably are with the ginger and turmeric, but I haven't got to validate any of that yet.
Mm.
But um, we just were the sponsors of the St. Martin Music Festival. It's another island in the Caribbean, and there's like 20 to 40,000 people with this thing. It's a 5-day event, and Mutiny was the exclusive spirit. So everyone now knows about breadfruit. But one of the things that I would hear people say, the next morning is just like, I can't believe I don't have a hangover. I can't believe it. I mean, not just a couple of people that I know, but like thousands of people saying.
Well, I'll test it out and I'll let you know. Probably won't drink enough to get me that far, but we'll see. Um, so the farmers you mentioned that you source your peppers and passion fruit, hibiscus, coffee from farmers in the Caribbean. So where does the breadfruit come from? And what is like your guys's business model in terms of, how you work with farmers and how you promote, growing more breadfruit trees?
So with regards to the farmers, we try to make partnerships with people that are conscious that and they all are, it's what they do. But with regards to the breadfruit, part of our mission, if you will, and we're endorsed by Trees That Feed Foundation, which is unusual for a spirit to be endorsed by a charity, for incentivizing farmers to plant breadfruit. So we work with a network of farmers all over the place. There's not really any one place that is producing breadfruit in the quantities needed, to be able to supply that. So we have to get breadfruit from multiple people in multiple islands. But that's a beautiful thing because that shows how these small little island communities can come together to create this big export. And as we grow, for example, just to keep it short, but let's say we start to enter the Asian market.
Mhm.
Okay, well, maybe instead of, making our facility bigger and stuff like that, why don't we replicate it, create the opportunities and jobs for farmers and say Guam,
Mhm.
and then the shipping and all these other things that are also, create a larger carbon footprint are shortened to help that process as well. And then at the same time, you're building up these communities, replicating, the success over and over and over again with small distilleries that are sustainable versus, these big, monstrous refinery type things.
Right. Wow. So almost like having like hubs like
Mhm.
all over or in the tropics that under like a unified brand, which would be Mutiny. And that
Yeah,
goal of supporting farmers and yeah, supporting a reliable market for farmers.
and I would love to say that I mean using breadfruit to do that, I would love to say that I came up with the idea to be able to do these small little hubs, but it was actually the University of Hawaii, um, out of the oh my God, now I'm forgetting, but it's Doc, I call him Doc Tusi, but it's
Yeah.
Abigail. You know him?
Yeah, I had the privilege of meeting him at the Breadfruit Summit a couple times.
Oh, awesome. He often has had me stay at his house and has immersed me in culture and wisdom and so many things. But he and the Breadfruit Summit, all those people, they have all these hub ideas to help other islands as well. I know that has the work at University of Hawaii not only has given me a vision for these little hubs, but they also have ways to produce clean water that's sustainable, and also to eliminate trash problems through something called TCOM technology. I know it's not breadfruit, but they're actually bringing these solutions to the Virgin Islands. So there's a sharing of knowledge, and this ohana just gets bigger. But all these solutions come just by working together like that. So that's kind of the model that we work off of.
Beautiful. So, I mean, that kind of shares a little bit about the the vision, right? So is there more behind the vision of Mutiny Vodka?
Yeah, I think Trees That Feed Foundation has the best saying ever, because they say, we're planting fruit trees to feed people, create jobs, and better the environment. And I think that's exactly what we intended and started out to do, because just like this breadfruit drink that I showed you at the beginning that someone started making, and people started making breadfruit chips. Breadfruit produces latex. That's another commodity that can be used. I have a friend in Canada. She's making cosmetics out of it, anti-aging cosmetics. So there's all these things that can happen with breadfruit, and it creates so many opportunities. So basically what we do is we want to incentivize the planting of breadfruit trees. And the more people drink, the more trees have to be planted, because we can't make it without the breadfruit. And then if there's surpluses, that ends up feeding people. So it almost forces people to plant breadfruit trees, and which is a good thing. And to give you some examples, some big companies and that I really admire their philosophies and their commitment, even though they're big companies. But like I know American Airlines has started looking to put breadfruit with them. We have definitely launched with several Applebee's franchisees because they're behind the breadfruit. So when you get these, not only does those two companies have the ability to share breadfruit with an enormous number of people, but when they're actively looking for sustainable things to change things, and they're choosing breadfruit, that's only a good thing. And the more people that are aware and the more people that are doing that, I believe that breadfruit would change the world.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
I
almost.
like to, breadfruit is the Google of that agricultural world.
Oh, breadfruit is the Google of the agricultural world.
Yeah.
Like a way to be introduced to sustainability, or the concept of it, and the concept of agroforestry and regenerative ag.
Yeah, absolutely. I
Beautiful.
think it's I think it's the best example. I mean, there's a ton of other trees and they can be used to accomplish things too, but breadfruit just really packs a punch.
Yeah, it certainly does. It's carbon sequestering. You have all these ecological services. You have, bioremediation of soils, erosion control. There's a whole slew of ecological benefits. And yeah, it's just and of course, all while producing food and, providing an opportunity to create these amazing products such as vodka or chips and so forth. But well, thank you I see
There was
something
just
coming.
well, there was this one friend of mine that I met with the Jungle Project. I don't know if you've met him or not,
Jungle
but
Cruise.
huh?
Gustavo and Paul.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. So they're amazing, but they had they put together one of the best videos about breadfruit I think I've ever seen in my life. And a breadfruit tree can produce about 800 pounds of food a year. Which is an enormous crop. But us in our everyday lives, whether it's through drink, because most spirits are made from grains like corn or wheat, or food, whether it's pizza, hamburgers, tacos, whatever. You are having some form of grain, and it actually accounts about for 50% of the world's calories that we eat. But they require a great deal of industrialized farming, which makes it hard for farmers to make money, for one. Two, they have to be planted annually, so the carbon sequestration is not really high there. And then they require tons, lots of fertilizers to get them to grow, as they also deplete the soil. But with breadfruit, And for someone that does not know what breadfruit is, think of a grain bread, and then, but it's in a fruit because most fruit grows on trees, right? But think about a grain, but it's a fruit that grows on a tree. And then you have breadfruit.
Mhm.
And that is just, to me, was brilliant to make someone understand, the conversion. And we use breadfruit flour to make pizza dough. I just made some breadfruit flour tortillas the other day to make some roti shells. Roti is like a curry dish. It's like a big burrito. It's a Caribbean thing. But
Wow.
so you can do all these things with it in lieu of using those grain-based
Mhm.
um, foods.
Right. Yeah, there's a lot of opportunity there. I mean, even in Hawaii, we import like 99% of our staple starches. And so simply by choosing local staples, we're able to contribute to, a more localized, food system. So yeah, beautiful. Well, thank you so much, Todd. I really appreciate you taking the time to share with us today. And I just want to share with our audience here how they can, find your product and what the different product options that they have. Do you want to share that?
Sure, you can go to mutinyislandvodka.com. That's our website. We can actually ship to most states directly from our website, um, which is great. But being that we're beginning to be distributed throughout, you can probably find us in your state. But you can find out about Mutiny all that you want on the website, and we like to call you will be converted to a breadfruit person once you start learning. It's a rabbit hole, and then we would like to call you a mutineer. Uh, on not just on the way you drink, but the way you eat and the way you think about the decisions you make, for the environment. And so we have a thing that we say, and that's cheers, mutineers. And you know, I'm excited to see everyone on that website, and definitely sign up for a newsletter and reach out to me too, because I am absolutely crazy about breadfruit, obviously.
Yeah, and a huge resource. I mean, you have you know so much about breadfruit, and yeah, you share really rich information. Wait, so a mutineer, what is that to you? Like,
Well, a lot of people would think of a mutineer as, like, today is actually the anniversary of Mutiny on the Bounty, which is when um, they were trying to bring breadfruit from Tahiti to the Caribbean, and the people on the ship decided they want to stay in Tahiti with the new friends that they had made and have fun. So they threw the breadfruit overboard, and the captain as well, Captain Bligh. Um, so I think. Anissa, I think I just got derailed. What was the original question?
what is a mutineer to you? And
Uh,
I mean, maybe
so,
that kind of goes back to that story, right? Like mutiny on the bounty and, just that background.
yeah, so it definitely. So I would say a mutineer is someone that's revolutionary in the way they think, because breadfruit is revolutionary. And it's also revolutionary in a good sense. A mutineer could technically have a bad connotation, like someone who defies authority. But for us, a mutineer is someone who's revolutionizing the way that they think about the decisions they make, revolutionizing what they do and the choices that they make, and then taking that knowledge and that passion and making decisions that actually do good for the planet, such as using breadfruit products, whether it's Mutiny Island Vodka or any other breadfruit product, or leaving your light switch on when all your lights on in your house when you're not home, turn them off. That type of thinking. That's a mutiny,
I like it.
and they have to have fun doing it. I mean, that's like the number one.
Hmm. There we go. I like that. That's a that's a that's a good way to describe it. I think I think I'd consider myself a mutineer.
You are, there's no doubt about it. You are a mutineer. There's no doubt about that. I love seeing what you do. It's amazing.
Mm. Yeah, all of us together in the breadfruit world, small but growing, we all play an important role. And it's so awesome to see the synergy just across the globe and how
Right.
a product like yours is a really good way to introduce people to the concept of breadfruit and regenerative ag. So thank you, Todd, for sharing. And yeah, thank you everybody for watching today.
Yeah, thank you, everybody. And just one thing in parting is Doc Tusi once told me an African proverb. He says, "Alone we can go fast, together we can go far." And that has stuck with me my whole life ever since meeting that man.
Yeah, he shared that through the summit, and that's stuck as well. Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
he has that power.
Well, awesome. Thank you, Todd. And yeah, we'll catch you next time.
All right, I can't wait. I can't wait till you get your new bottles of Mutiny. They should arrive any moment.
Oh, I'm very excited. I'll be sharing those for sure. Gonna try to make a reel out of them.
All right, perfect.
All
Well,
right.
have a good day, and thank you again, Anissa.
Yeah, likewise. Aloha.
Hi, aloha.